Mishka Shabali is catching up with friends who are arguably more talented than him.
Heyo, Mishka Shabali here. The good funny story from last week. I preparing to go to New York and was feeling sort of a little unsettled one night, and I'd like sort of done all my work, and I was like, I should smoke some DMT, because we all should. And it's such a curious drug. You always have to sort of I love it when people interrogate my sobriety, like, well, you're not really sober because you smoke DMT. There's not a lot of, I never had to sort of like talk myself into taking a drink or muster up my courage to take a drink. It was always something I did out of weakness. And DMT is a powerful enough drug that you're always like, okay, you got this, you can do it. So I have this like tiny janky little pipe that I think I found on the streets of Brooklyn like 6 years ago or something. I don't smoke anything through it with any regularity, so I'd never cleaned it. So I put some of the DMT that was in sort of like leaf form in the pipe, and then went to take a hit and like drew really hard, but didn't get much. And it was good stuff, so I got enough that I got like a little shimmer, a little tickle. I got the sort of weird body buzz that you get from DMT, but I didn't sort of get projected. There was no astral projection. And as I was coming out of it, sort of waiting to like come down, I was like, that's enough. That was good enough. You just got a little bit of, a little taste, and that's sufficient. Not every one of these needs to be like a fucking screaming monster truck rally. Like you can just smoke a little DMT. Well, maybe I should do one more. So I went to do it again, and the pipe was when I had tried to smoke the first time, the pipe had like stopped drawing, like it had become completely clogged. So I was like, oh, I should finally clean this thing. So I took it apart, and it was just disgusting inside, like Texas crude, just like tar in there. So I cleaned it out with a paper clip, and then I'd been laying in my bed, and I went and sat on my couch, with the dog next to me, and like a guitar neck on the couch, because that's how I roll. And I was like, I'm just going to do, another little hit, maybe a little bit more. And I went to draw on the pipe and didn't realize that when I'd been hitting it before, like the size of the opening was like a tiny little pinprick that eventually sealed shut, and now it was wide open. So I got fucking way too much. All the angels and demons flying directly into my eyeballs, and and it was a lot. God, it was so much. It was super intense, and I was sort of just stuck there, and I could tell that my dog was sort of like freaking out a little bit. And I don't know if it's because I was breathing heavy or not breathing, much at all. So I sort of opened my eyes to check on her, to comfort her, still tripping super hard, and just like looked at her, and she was like made out of Lego. And then she was a cartoon dog, and then, 3 heads and 6 eyes, and then 1 eye, and like just all oh Lord. And it took me a minute to sort of recover from that. Still a great drug, still a fantastic drug. Everybody should do it. Maybe not my mom, though I would love to get her to do it with me. But yeah, the DMT is like shit at Costco. There's 2 sizes, like not enough and all of it. And yeah, I got I kicked my ass the other night. Our episode today is my friend Josh LaJaunie. A lot of you know him as a plant-based ultra runner. Josh topped the scales at 400 pounds or maybe more. We don't have an accurate read because the highest the scale went was 400 pounds, and he lost an entire person. He lost half his body weight, in excess of 200 pounds, and went on to become a pretty hardcore ultra marathoner. And, since then he's struggled with back issues and then just sort of aging and ennui. And so we talk about all of that, about sort of transitioning from who you were to who you will be and all the things that sort of come in between there. I totally adore Josh, and I'm just going to have to buy a kayak and go out to Louisiana so I can hang out with him. We did have some audio, what's the technical term? Some audio bullshit on this one, so please bear with us. I swear it's worth it. Josh has the loveliest voice and a lot of hardcore wisdom to drop. So, yeah, please enjoy this one with my good friend Josh LaJaunie. Josh, what's up?
What's up, bro?
I have never entered into a conversation with less of a pre-programmed agenda. I just want to talk to you, see how you're doing, see how your cat is, what you've been up to, just fucking catch up, man.
Yeah.
Tell me everything. How you been, what you've been up to?
I've been really good. Busy. The last year has been crazy with the hurricane, and I almost cut my damn ring finger off right before the hurricane, and it took a couple of surgeries.
I saw that. What
been bothering me?
What? All right, one at a time here, Josh.
It's a lot.
So how do you? I saw the pics on Instagram of your finger. That was fucking graphic. What'd you do?
Well, because my back has been bothering me for years now.
You decided to cut your finger off?
No, I was just walking out in the swamp, walking in the woods. I was like, well, I can't run, but let me just go get in the swamp and, just enjoy the summer and go look at and just kind of explore the swamp that I grew up on, but it's been so long since I used to play in there as a kid. And, so me and my brother we wanted to go walk the property line and mark it out. And that's what we were doing. I just slipped and fell with a sweaty hand, and my hand slipped up the blade off of the handle, and my hand, as I was gripping it, my hand grabbed and so it took a couple of surgeries. And I mean, I can make a fist. I can do that kind of these days, but
almost, yeah.
Long story short, it severed this tendon in there, so I couldn't use the top part of my finger. It was kind of just limp, and so they had to cut it open, reattach the tendon.
Wow.
And then the hurricane hit. While I was recovering from that, I was like a week post-op. The hurricane hit, and I couldn't go to physical therapy for that first surgery for 10 days. Everybody was out. Like, we were in like Texas. We had evacuated, and the doctor wasn't open anyway. The PT place wasn't open anyway. So that kind of set me behind the 8 ball, set me behind in my recovery. The scar tissue took over. And by December, I had to have another surgery done. I mean, you get pressed up against your deductible by then. It's like, oh, you might need another surgery. And then, it's December. If you do it now, we can get it in while your deductible's satisfied. But if you wait till after the first, you're gonna have to pay for a big chunk of this.
It's so weird that they're like closing the deal when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to your health and your body, and still
paying those bills, mister. Like, I'm still paying them. It's like a cascade. You get separate bills from all these separate entities. And you're like, God dang. Okay.
Yeah. And if you, if you look at health insurance around the world too, it's so funny because, Canadians are like, I had to pay $60. It's an outrage. Europeans, and they're like, what are you paying? And we're like, I have no idea. I'll find out over the next 6 years as it trickles in from all the different like subcontractors and the the fee for the 2 aspirin that they gave me, and
God forbid you go to an emergency room,
yeah.
I have a good friend who was suffering with some issues during COVID, and just really kind of struggling financially and just wondering how things were going to ever flesh out, like a lot of small business owners during that time. And so he gets to the point where he feels like he's having a heart attack.
Wow.
So he goes to the emergency room thinking he's about to die. And they go, "Oh, no, you're not having a heart attack. You're just having a massive anxiety attack." "Oh, well, at least I'm not dying, I guess. So that's cool. All right, goodbye." And then in the mail, you get a bill for $9,000.
Bro,
how's that going to help my anxiety?
That's going to give you the heart attack that you didn't
right?
have
And that,
before.
but that's, dude, that's like multiply that times tens of millions. That's what it means to be an American and need something from the healthcare system. It's factual.
Hell yeah, we're number one.
Yeah.
Dude, I really, I feel like like an old man just shouting at a cloud. But I read the thing yesterday that they're gonna tear the school down in Uvalde, and it's like, oh yeah, that's the solution, not gun control. Let's just burn all the schools down so that the kids will be safer.
Yeah, and then we could build schools with just one door. That way, if you got just one door per school, then you don't have to man a whole bunch of doors. And that's what.
Yeah. And
certain Texas senators had that idea. I thought that was hilariously stupid.
Yeah, we're just, I don't know. The world we're living in, it blows my fucking mind. Every day I wake up, and this is partly my fault. Wake up and look at my phone before I get my coffee in me. And then I'm just that is the biggest jolt to your system. Just be like, what have you motherfuckers been doing while I was asleep? Like, what? Every day this is a new batch. It's like the cookies fresh from the oven. Like, here's way more incredibly destructive dog shit coming your way.
Yeah, exactly. That's what all those dynamics of the past few years. Me feeling really rough physically, like for a couple of years, which led me into like my mileage was dipping, my back was hurting. I was contemplating getting surgery. Dave was actually kind of, my mentor in the low back surgery after having been morbidly obese and become an ultra runner type of a like very specific niche. And he had done all of that. And then Dave passing away and really just threw me for a loop with what I would ever consider back wise. It was just, surgery wise for my back. And so I was like, okay, well, I just need to adjust, cause I feel like a lot of the mountain running training is what hurt me in the first place. So let's just stay flat. Let's just stay easy. Let's just be Louisiana. Let's just be where I'm from. And, so that's what I was doing, trying to let my back heal, when I cut my hand in the swamp. And, but the whole reason I was in there is exploring, looking for places to go with my kayak, which is something that I had replaced a lot of my mileage with, was this Hobie, this new pedal drive kayak where I can pump with my legs and just go and explore. I was like, Louisiana woods, especially down here, they don't hold a trail, right? So the trails are the bayous. And that's what I was like, and I've been living on one my entire life. I was born on one. That's who I am. And so these little pedal kayaks have really just almost not taken, they've taken place a lot of the running mileage that I used to chase, but it was for the same reasons, being in nature, spending all day out in the woods. And I'm doing the same thing on the kayaks now. And I'm really enjoying it and liking, just sort of slowing down and trying to remove my arguably powerful imagination from this very, very rich, this very misery fodder, cornucopia that we have today. And I really enjoy that. I enjoy making videos about it. That's been like my new thing, is just getting out in the swamp and showing what Louisiana is. There's also the wrinkle of all of my swamps and homelands and being intruded upon by the Gulf of Mexico, largely because of, petroleum industry and also the way we levied off the Mississippi River back in the early 1920s. Combined, the fact is, whoever you want to put the blame on, we're losing a big chunk of Louisiana, and it's the specific chunk that I grew up in. and so it hurts a little, Yeah. And it makes me want to appreciate the beauty of it and try and show as many people as I can what it looks like here before it turns into marsh like the rest of, down and by it. And so that's just been my new thing.
Do you see that there directly above my finger, there's a portrait of David Clark on my back shelf right there. And it was, a year and a half before I could hang that picture because it was just too painful to look at. Like, losing him, it's so brutal and such a brutal time. Let's back up here because you just blew through so much good shit, so quickly. So your back issue. Let's talk about your back issue. Let's sort of slow that down and expand it. Because you went I think most people listening probably know you and know your story. You went from being morbidly obese. I feel like you were around 400, but we don't know because that's how high the scale went, if memory serves.
Yeah, something like that, right?
And then you're probably what, buck 90 now, 200.
No, I'm more like since my mileage is down, I'm probably more like 225 right now. But
okay.
But when I was ultra running and stuff, yeah, and I was like in that 190 to 200 range. I got down to like 187 at my probably most dehydrated. That's probably, retrospect was probably what it was. But I really fell in love with the ultra running,
And then it's been your lower back that was really fucking with you.
Yeah, that was a thing. That was an excuse I leaned on my whole, becoming morbidly obese, because it was the thing that kept me from, that kind of pushed me out of football when I was in college. It's the same old thing, and I have a pretty large bulging disc, severe protrusion. Right,
so the back issues preceded your ultra running career.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
And so what I think accidentally happened, it's a complex thing when I look back at it. It's like, compared to how I felt before, my back felt great. I lost 200 pounds.
Yeah.
However, I think I was probably still hurting my back by a lot of the running, especially once I got into the mountain running and a lot of the downhills, and that not really just being in my physical repertoire my entire life,
Yeah.
And I have to say that I realized something was different about me. In my very first ultra, I ran with a couple of friends of mine, and we had to jump over these what we would call in Louisiana like a trenasse, like a little where the drainage had cut across the beach. My first ultra was on a beach in Destin, Florida, and we had to jump across that or wade across it. And if you wade, you're going to have wet, sandy feet very early on in the race. And so everybody jumped fairly easily. And I realized, like, when I jump, like, I don't have that in me. Like, I can't really let go of my back enough to just jump and fall and curve. And I've found out later that a lot of my not only do I have that protrusion, the reason that a surgery isn't really recommended from the surgeons that I've dealt with, is I also have so much arthritis that has built in around those areas to protect it.
Right.
And so it's kind of like almost fused with that bone growth. And everyone to the man has told me that I'm just going to make it worse, pounding it like I've been doing it. And I'm like, nah, but no, see, but I'm plant-based. And that was kind of ignorant. That's true. It's valid. It's a good call nutritionally, but it doesn't necessarily undo decades of, trauma.
It doesn't make you immortal. That's one of the things.
No, it doesn't. Right.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
I want to throw out all these have you tried the laser thing to break up the, and I'm sure you've exhausted every possible
Those laser
thing.
things, right? Those laser things are more for the cervical spine, not the lumbar spine. It's a finer bone. I've looked into all of that.
Yeah.
I have some concretion, really more like a concretion down there of osteophytes or osteocytes, whatever they call it. These like all these hunks of bone around my around each disc, and I mean running didn't do it.
What about witchcraft?
Yeah, I'm trying that.
I mean, they have that down. I know they have that where you are. I'm sure you can make a couple phone calls, find somebody to roll the bones or whatever.
Right.
Fucking try everything, Josh.
The protocol, and we surviving. So far, so good. But I do have to say that, as much as I hate to admit it, laying off of the running. While I don't feel as good about myself, I don't feel as in shape and fit, my back feels really good, and I can bend over and pick things up off of the ground. I mean, there is, if I'm being honest, there's major healing happening in my back, and I am doing some strength stuff. I have some friends now that are helping me, they're big into CrossFit. I'm not big into CrossFit, but I do like the movements. I love how it's just such a shotgun pattern of different areas of the body, and every workout, right? So I really like that, and so I do that probably once or twice a week. I'll modify it to keep from hurting myself, but the fact is, I don't want to hurt my back so bad that I'm having to prepare myself mentally for just not being a recovering ultra runner anymore, but I'm done.
Yeah.
And and what's tricky is in the ultra running community, you're not supposed to do that, right? So, if you're a good friend, you don't ever let your friend quit.
Yeah.
And I'm
not only is there no retiring, there's no recovering either. You just grind. You just keep going. I think that's one of the reasons why I quit. Is because I was just people were like, "Oh, you can't quit." And I'm like, "Don't fucking tell me what to do." I didn't get into this. I didn't get into I don't even want to call it a sport because it was more for me. It was more sort of like it's like yoga is not really a sport. Meditating and prayer isn't really a sport. Running for me was.
It's like a therapy to me. It's it's a different modality of a type of therapy to me, to be able to go, especially for somebody like me, where I had never really experienced my body that way.
Right.
Never. I've played football. I've worked out, but as far as getting into where you have enough endorphins in your body to numb the pain of mile 50, mile 60. That was like a frontier for me that I had never experienced in my life. And to be honest, it's addictive. I obviously have a fucking addictive personality. And so it just kind of went off the deep end, and I think it taught me tons of lessons, but I also, if I'm being real and pragmatic and objective, I do think that it exacerbated a problem that was already there.
One of the things that we talk about in music is sort of reinventing yourself. And, that's one of the things that Lanigan did, so many times so successfully was, he was in the fucking long hair, grunge band. And then, he did this sort of desert rock thing. And then he did this electronic stuff, and he did, sort of like soul crooning, and he did sort of acoustic songwriter stuff. And, Dylan, David Bowie, Madonna, so many artists, with each album or each couple of albums, they reinvent themselves. And so much of what you've been going through speaks to me at a very base level of just sort of like identity, and also a very high level of like you and I both reinvented ourselves as people and human beings and redefined our relationships with the universe through running. And then when that gets taken away from you, you're like, who the fuck am I? Or I am not who I am. Or when what has become your life gets taken away from you, it feels like death.
Yeah, I always knew you wasn't worthy. See, you fat motherfucker, you wasn't worthy.
Yeah,
that was temporary.
Yeah,
and it's so easy to go there, and that's you. That's the old dog pass, but that's those old neurological sort of dog pass that you just trample down over the decades. But running and ultra running especially has taught me to look discomfort in the face and to think about it. If you ignore it, it's going to blow up on you. And so trying to get ahead, ironically, I think peeling back from ultra running has proven physically to help me in the past couple of years. It's freed up my time to be able to do some other things. I know that's a very community-oriented sport, but it's also been nice to be more solo lately and contemplate and go inward and think about how I want to live differently, what I want to do differently, even from the ultra runner who lost 230 pounds and was whatever. I want to be different from him too. I don't want to get anywhere and freeze.
Yeah,
Immersing myself in nature has just been a huge part of that it's almost cathartic, and it needs to be, because actual therapy and getting actual help is extremely expensive in this country.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or prescribed help, not actual, because this is actual help. Meditating and breathing and that's real.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because I want to talk more about this sort of the light bulb going off over your head of with the kayak, because this pedal kayak, it's a means of transportation, right, of getting you from one place to another. And also we talk about transportation, that like being able to leave yourself or leave your environs, and then also, I mean, when you were telling me this, I sort of grew up in like the swamps of New Hampshire and the swamps of Canada. I remember in the winter when it would freeze and suddenly you could skate through the whole forest, and it was wild. And it's sort of there's a weird thing that happened when the ponds froze. Then you could skate out to the middle of the pond, and so this place that was not available to you before the freeze suddenly was. Similarly, right. when I got sober and started running in New York, like I rediscovered New York, or I discovered New York. There were places I'd never been, and I just was like, "What's over this bridge?" And I just sort of ran everywhere and did everything. And so when you were talking about sort of discovering the kayak, and you were like, "Wait, Louisiana is mostly water. The path, the river is the path." To just. I don't know that there's, and also talking about like being immersed, my cat is being aggressive this morning. It's one thing to be like running through the forest, but you're still on the ground. You're still connected there. If you're kayaking, you're literally like 360 degrees immersed in the experience. Mm-hmm. You're right there at the water level.
Right. And and I had kind of been drawn to the Bahia even as an ultra runner, because I was, I had plans in the works. I was thinking about pulling the trigger like in 2018. early 2019. I had some friends in town who also wanted to do it. It'd be about 110 miles from where Bayou Lafourche forks, the fork off of the river in the Mississippi River, and it's 110 miles from there to where it empties out into the Gulf. That's our bayou. That's where I'm from. I'm from Lafourche Parish. That bayou goes into the Gulf through my parish, and that is just like, so huge. And I was drawn to that because it's like an artery, and it rhymes with like coronary artery and plant-based, and maybe it's a message. And we depend on pumps down here so much. If we could get the people here to understand, the arteries, the water arteries and the pumps, and how much that, can you imagine how useful it is inside your own body? Maybe there's a thread we can pull there. And so I was playing around with those ideas, and it was a big reason for why I was holding on to ultra running. It was like, that was the thing that I wanted to do, even if it was the last thing that I ever did as an ultra runner. And it's not going to happen, and I don't want it to happen. Somebody will do it, and good for them, but I'm not interested. I, like you were just explaining, and I never thought about it in those terms about being 360 degrees wrapped in my Louisiana.
Yeah.
That is, I want to go down the bayou in the kayak, and do a trip and record it, and maybe even do an entire YouTube channel on it. That's where I've just been drawn to is even during the ultra running phase, if you want to call it, is that like that dynamic that you said, where you find yourself when you're on foot relearning a place that you've been in your whole life.
Yeah.
And I know that around Thibodeau, like there's these places that, oh, I didn't know they had a tree house in their backyard, or wow, that is a really cool sidewalk. And I didn't know any of that. And it's like, am I running in a strange town? No, I was born right here.
Yeah.
But the activity itself makes you find new things to savor. And the kayaking has done much the same for me, just in the swamp versus the urban road areas,
Yeah. It's funny, because so I just taught last week, so sort of teaching and writing is still very much on my mind. And, one of the things that we talk about with writers is that there's not a lot of like new experiences or new emotions out there, but it's the job of a writer to make the reader see an old thing in a new way. And there's no limit on that. That can just keep going forever. And I don't know, I just came in from running, so I'm still sort of like all juiced up about it. But I really think that it is that running and like venturing out into the world, it is about rediscovering, relearning, remembering. There have been, so many places where, man, I went for a run in Saskatchewan, and like, that was my first run there in my entire life. That's where my family's from. I've been going back there, more than Ontario, where I was born. To go back to Saskatchewan, it's like going back home, because that's where all my family lives. And the first time I went running there, I was like, holy shit, and I went running with one of my aunts for the first time. And, she and her husband had been runners my entire life. And at one point I looked over at her and I was like, Auntie, like, I can't believe that we're running. And she was like, I know, me too. I can't believe you're running with us. And she was just so like, just visibly like tickled from it, but it is, it's tricky, man, because with, making it competitive, tracking your mileage, tracking your time, tracking your performance, stitching all these goals into it, stitching your identity into running. It's like you can, I was talking about this with Laura McCown the other day, that I've sort of like commodified my sobriety. It's become a core part of who, my identity. And also I write about it and I make money off of it. I'm not it's not like fucking Amway for me where, people have to send me 6 cents every day I stay sober. But like but it's if I were to start drinking again, it would also be a business decision. In some ways I would be like tanking my business, and that sucks. That's stupid. I want to not drink because I want to not drink. I want that to be the only reason. I want to run because I want to run.
Exactly.
And, people are still stunned that I don't track my mileage or bring my phone with me or run with headphones or whatever. But I do want to have that experience of like the Arizona equivalent of being cradled by the bayou, of just to be surrounded on all sides by running,
And to realize, like, as much as I beat myself up lately about, I'm not in good shape. As far as the ultra runner, it's like I've only been either really big and fat or self-identified as a competitive ultra runner who's on his way. I want to break 20 hours in the 100 miler, and I want to go to Boston, and like that's the only thing, right? And I realize now, like a lot of that was pretty needed at the time, but toxic motivations. It feels so much better to just go, you know what? I've done a lot of hard work. I've built a lot of physical athletic capacity. I'm a 44-year-old dude. I can go run whenever I want to go run 5-10 miles with my partners. I can. We want to go plan a kayak trip where I'm going to spend the night out in the wilderness and rough it. And I can. I'm not too fat to get in a kayak. I'm not too fat to get in a hammock.
Yeah.
Like all of these things about my life that are different now. And all I could think about is how it's worse than it was 2 years ago as a runner. And the worst, quote unquote, worst part is merely just the lack of being able to consider yourself competitive. And I don't know how big of a deal that is. I know it's useful for like some jet fuel in the beginning of a trajectory for a burst, but I don't know. Not everybody's going to be a pro. Not everybody's going to want to be in the cycle of injury and recovery all the time. And,
one of the things that I've said about social media is that it's a tool and we use it. And if we don't use it, it uses us. And it's one of those things like, like alcohol or, smoking weed or something like that, that you can have a healthy relationship with alcohol. You can have a couple of drinks here and then. You can smoke weed every once in a while, and then you use it to relax, to socialize, to sort of have a restorative interruption of your reality. But those things have power in themselves. So if you're not it's like you're pulling the dog or the dog is pulling you. It's one or the other. It's never perfectly balanced. And so competition has absolutely been healthy for me at times, but also, dude, I have literally seen posts of yours. You're my dear friend. I love you so much. I see pictures of you like fucking making a muscle, and I'm like, man, fuck Josh and those big guns. Like, I wish and it's like, it's so stupid. You did the work. You know what I mean? You built those guns. I could do it too if I cared, but it just manifests as jealousy and insecurity and fucking undercutting your best friends. It's so crazy.
Rightfully so, because if I'm being honest, it was a low key brag to begin with.
Well, you should brag, dude. That was impressive.
And so, right. The thing is, you're right. I mean, it does. I'm proud. But the thing is that I also, I just want to be regular. I just want to be regular. I feel like looking back at it that I was letting running and social media and my connection to that world tell me who I was versus me telling running and social media who I am.
Yeah.
And I feel like as I get older, I feel more comfortable doing that. Mainly because I need that peace in my life. I don't want to be in that vibe.
Yeah.
I want to be in a more peaceful, enjoy the hard work that I've put in to have a normal 44-year-old man's body, and enjoy some camping and hiking and living with. I got little nephews that are running around. My mom and I are gonna take the golf cart down there to them. My little sister and her husband, they put their camper down at Parnashan for the whole summer. So they're gonna commute back and forth to work from the camper, and so their kids are just gonna be able to live in Parnashan for the whole summer, like having a camp, you know. So we and I want to do stuff like that. I don't want the whole family to have to come to whatever because I'm doing a 50K or I'm doing a 50 mile. That's beautiful. That was fun. It really was. It taught us, it gave us an appreciation for nature. It reminded us about state parks and national reserves. And so now let's keep doing that, and appreciate the lessons and the physical capacity, and just let's do our little harmony piece with Mother Nature vibe, and not have to worry about the politics of dealing with people.
When I was 15, I went to my roommate's went back to my roommate's place in Virginia for the first time, and he had told this story about jumping his car off this steep hill. And I was like, yo, when are we gonna jump the car? You know, like and he looked at me and he was like, Mishka, that's not something we do. It's something we did. You know, and I totally feel you, man. I remember dragging friends and girlfriends and family to races and stuff. And so we drive 4 hours and then go to sleep, and then I'm running for 8, 10, 12 hours, and then I can't do anything, and then we drive back. It feels like a lot to ask of other people to be there and to hang out and cheer for me and shit like that. And I actually DNF'd a lot of those races because when I was running, I was like, well, fucking people are waiting for me and stuff. I should just bail at this, at this course mark. I don't want to inconvenience people. So I learned to, that when a race was emotionally important to me and I wanted to do well, to just go by myself.
Well, I saw how people who DNF races were talked about behind their back, and I never wanted to be that guy.
Yeah.
And so I DNF'd one race right towards the end of one of my last ultras. And, it was devastating to me. And I honestly should have DNF'd the last one I ran. I ran a 40 miler at the end of 2019. I really should have just bailed on it. Mm-hmm. But I went 20 miles beyond where I should have quit, had to power hike it out to finish it. But I fucked myself up. There's no doubt. And I sacrificed my flesh for my pride and my ego and for what my friends might think about me if I quit another race.
I remember being up in Vermont, and there was a dude there, and he had all the gear. He had the new Hokas and compression socks and the a $90 pair of shorts and a vest with pockets and stuff. And he had a hat, and to the front of his hat, he had clipped all the toenails that he'd lost. And I was like,
that's gangster, bro.
I was like, this shit is over for me. That because I was just and
I'm going, damn, I should have thought about that. I lost so many toenails, I could have a little chandelier hanging off my
because it was just you don't need any of that shit to run, man. You just need to go out there and do it. I just got out of the shower. I'm in my, you can't see it. Maybe I'll show you after we get off there. I'm in my underwear and a fucking tank top. I'm not wearing shoes. I could go out and run right now. I don't need any of that, any of the fucking gear, and also to have the trophies mounted on the front of your hat for the world to see. That's not about you. That's not about your relationship with running. That's not about your relationship with the trail or the loneliness or the pain or the suffering or the woods or the sun setting or the animals you see or any of that stuff. That's showboating. And and what you're showing off is I can destroy myself. And you know what? I did enough of that at the fucking bar.
And even more than showboating, it's almost like a certain type of almost like genuflecting to the people you know are tougher than you, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I know they're badass, so I'm gonna do this big performative thing to be like, yeah, I'm not. And then you get pat on the back by the dudes that you think are tougher than you, and you go, oh yeah. And it's all just a toxic fucking wash of bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I don't give a fuck. I don't care about my pace. I want to run with whoever I'm running with. I enjoy running when I'm alone, up and down, and like pace wise, fast, slow, just chill, stop, take pictures. I'm more interested in historical placards when I see them, and like, come on, that's where I'm at right now. That's where I'm at right now. It served its purpose in my life. I'm thankful for all of the memories, but I've learned a lot about growth in the past, say, 10 years of my life. And when the chapter's over, I've found that the best way to deal with it, you know?
Yeah. Dude, that is one of the things that really haunts me about losing Dave is, did things go south during the surgery from the damage that he did to himself when he was a morbidly obese, cokehead alcoholic, or was that from all the crazy shit that he did? And
how many bad waters, how many high altitude? I mean, Leadville was his thing. Yeah. Not 100 milers per se, but Leadville specifically.
Yeah.
I think about it.
Yeah.
And I just won I got a coin that year, 2019. I wound up getting my name drawn in the little gymnasium in Leadville after the marathon. I ran the marathon and got my name pulled, and I wound up with a 100 miler coin to be able to enter the 2020 race.
Wow.
That's where, and it just feels poignant like that. Okay, that's a good blow up spot for all of those mountain ultra aspirations and stuff. You know, one of the people that grew to be a mentor to me, you know, graduates from the planet. I just felt like, you know, COVID was crushing Leadville. Like Leadville wasn't going to be able to be a thing. I was in no shape. I had to actually email the RD and bow out of a lead. You know how many people would have killed for a Leadville coin?
Yeah. Yeah.
And, so there's bitterness swirled in with pragmatism. There's no doubt. But it just, you know, there's a certain poignance to death, to Dave's death, and how it all sort of came to be. And I feel, while it does still feel like something I mourn, and there's not Dave specifically, I mourn him obviously, but my lack of ultra running, it is something that I mourn. But it's not something that's coming back. And the sooner that I get over that, the sooner that I work through that and not see it as a negative, but see it as just something in the rearview mirror. And I'm on to this now. That's the at least that's the tact I'm trying to take. That's what I'm, without going crazy and hating yourself, you know?
Hey, we're going to jump in here with a quick word of thanks to our corporate sponsor. Oh, what's that? This podcast is not sponsored by Squarespace? Yes, that's right. This is a totally independent, no Exxon money. Oh, Christ. This is an independent podcast. We don't do second takes on bogus commercials. Please rate, review, subscribe, post your heartwarming compliments on the Apple Podcast app, and spread it. Thank you. I've always operated from this position of the glory days are gone, even when I was a kid, and new is worse. But that's bullshit. It's not only is it like not always the case, it's rarely the case. And I think that, I mean, the other thing is that we can fight it or we can embrace it, and change is going to happen either way. When I was 22, there's no graceful way of putting this. I was sick for pussy, right? It was like I had an affliction, and now I'm 45, and there are definitely some nights I would just rather lay on the couch and cuddle with my dog, or even if I found myself with a nice lady, there are times where I'm like, why don't we just lay here together and think about it at the same time? Because I'm tired. And that's cool, man. And that's the thing is, with aging, with changing, with transformation in your life, you can gnash your teeth and pull your hair out and kick and scream. It's going to fucking happen anyway. Or you can be like, this is who I am now. This
is what we got.
Right. Now I run in the water. That's
exactly
my
right.
I'm an ultra kayaker now.
And while I'm here, let me learn about the history of the cypress industry in Louisiana, the history of the petroleum industry in Louisiana, the history of levees and drainage and all of that. While I'm here, all of this stuff matters in a huge way, not only to me, but everybody connected to me.
Yeah.
Just like heart disease does, just like everything else. So, okay, right. There's still ways to use passion. Right. And so I'm still buffering, I'm formulating, but that's what I'm doing real time. And I'm trying to tell social media now who I am versus the other way around,
Yeah. It's funny. I have an uncle who was, I can't remember if he was vegetarian or if he was like vegan in the 80s. Mm-hmm. And that's fucking hardcore,
that's real shit. That is a lot of tofu, bro.
Yeah.
In the 80s.
Yeah. And he's been a runner, his whole life, and now I think he's on the keto, just eat raw flesh all the time shit, and
that's so weird. But.
Yeah. And he always sort of has a new workout that he's doing. And my cousin was like winding him up one day, and he was like, "Oh yeah, my dad has a new thing. My dad always has a new thing that he's like really into," and that's true. That's definitely my Uncle Claude. Like he'll go from one thing that he's super into to the next thing that he's super into, and it is worth poking fun at him for that. But also, how fucking cool is it to move from one thing you're super into to the next thing that you're super into? What we need to get super into is getting super into things, I was so fucking down on myself because I'm now like a 3 to 7 mile kind of guy. And
yeah, that's about me.
And that used to be like not even worth doing. That wasn't
warm up, right?
Yeah,
used to do 4 mile warm up before a speed workout, and then a 4 mile cool down.
Yeah, that was like that was an off day, and I did 6.5 on Tuesday. I did like 4 yesterday, and then probably 4 this morning. I'm tuckered, and I was thinking like, oh, dude, I'm a jogger now. It sucks. It's so lame. But I went back and listened to a podcast. I think it was a podcast with Rich. And he was like, "Oh, so what's the next thing? What's the next thing you're going to do?" And I was like, "I'm going to develop a healthy relationship with running." Where
I remember that it inspired me. It honestly did. That was a really good conversation. Yeah.
Dude, I'm here. I did it, and I did it against my will, and then I got mad at myself for doing it. I set a goal, forgot about it, met the goal, hated myself for getting there. And it's that is a whole like little personality sketch of who I am, right in that movement. Dude, I love it. You know, the relationship that I have with my dog now through running and through healthy running. She is so fucking strong. She's like wrestling with her. She's like an anaconda. Like she's all muscle. She'll just sort of wrap herself around me and like twist. And I'm like, whoa, it's getting hot now. So when she gets tired and she's starting to get too hot, she's figured out that the lawns will hold moisture and condensation. So as soon as she sees a lawn, she'll start dragging on the leash to get over to the lawn, and then she just sort of like snuffles in the grass for a minute until she finds like a good wet spot, and it just lays like full on Superman, like just laying in the grass and getting as much like wet on her as possible, rolling around, and then I call her and I have to like drag her out of it, and it is wet, so she just skids out of and it fucking rules, dude. It's so cool. It's the, I feel, perhaps I don't feel a sense of the sublime the way that I did ultra running when you're hammering it and you like come out of the trees and there's the finish line, or like you're alone by yourself and there's like this big mountain vista or something like that. But also the mountain vista now is the love that I have for my dog and the love that she has for me, which is 100% pure. The love
that I'm willing to give to strangers, dog, like a stranger dog or a stranger cat. Like that's what, you know what? It has also not only helped me heal, but it's also freed up funds in my life. Like because we go, instead of going to a big, massive Colorado trip, maybe we just go right over, like when I texted you a while back, we were just right over in Mobile, Alabama.
Yeah.
And kind of really made a much smaller bite trip. We go in there and we bring our kayaks and we explore up in that river delta, which is amazing. And that is, I feel like it's an even more authentic way to get back out into nature and start, instead of staying in a motel room and getting a good hot shower and a good breakfast so I could go run 100 miles in the woods as fast as I can. Why not just stay in the woods the whole time, spend the night, right? Let's maybe try to make it 20 miles to the next spot in the kayak and spend the night again. And no, it's not ultra running, but running and ultra running and all of that has helped a formerly morbidly obese, basically crippled in the back, fat guy achieve a physical capacity, a status that those are options. Those are options. It's every weekend if I want.
It's so weird because, I remember when I was running so much and running took up so much of my life. Recovery took up so much of my life. Travel took up so much of my life. And I was sore all the time. And the days that I wasn't sore, I was like, I need to be hitting it harder because I'm not sore. And,
felt like shit.
Yeah.
Damn, bro, I'm not going to cut it. This ain't going to cut it. I got to get back up to 80 miles a week. I need a good, hard 20 miler. Like
just to be driving, the way that like some people drive, where it's like slamming on the gas, slamming on the brake, slamming on the gas, taking every corner at maximum speed. And it's like, just chill. Why don't we just enjoy the drive? Like, look over there, to be gunning it that hard. And now I don't know, maybe I'm just like rolling into the fucking stepdad phase of my life or whatever. But like, when you were talking,
homie would be like, sounds like something somebody slow would say.
Yeah, when you were talking about the historical placards, I was like, that sounds really interesting. Tell me more,
Right.
Dude, it would be, I can't believe we've gotten this far into the podcast without talking about your cat.
Yes. That's our buddy. Yes.
Tell me about your cat. Tell me the whole story. Tell me what happened. Cause I don't know if everybody's up on this yet. The latest, biggest development in your life.
It's so awesome. Because I've been doing these kayak trips and we haven't really done any overnighters yet. And so we did Howie, my co-author, and we did a Sick to Fit little retreat. And one of the ladies that was there, she said she camped out all of the way over there instead of staying in hotels. I was like, oh, really? So we got to chatting it up and we hit it off. And she's like, she lives in the panhandle of Florida and I live in Louisiana, and she did the research because she's the camping expert. She said, oh, here's a great place. We should get together and go on this place called the Bartram Trail. It looks equidistant for both of us and blah, blah, blah. So that's what we did. But they had torrential rains. It was for my grandfather's birthday, actually. Me and Dustin wanted to go get in the woods and be immersed, something he would have loved for his birthday. So we get there. And that night, it just starts lightning. My very first night, it just starts storming. And I'm in a hammock. It's my very first night in a hammock. It's just
I love this.
3 in the morning.
We have to footnote this. The thing you said about hammock weight. You're like, I can get in a hammock now. That is such an awesome measurement of where you are in your right. health, weight loss, fitness journey. My
kayak has a little warning label on it. It says max weight 400 pounds. And so it's a daily reminder every time I get in that fucking thing. Like, you get to ride in this now, dude.
That's like the name of your alter ego, Max Weight.
Yeah, Max Weight.
So keep going. Tell me the story.
Yeah. So anyhow, we were way up in the river delta, and we were going to go spend the night at the floating campsite that's deep in the swamp. And the rain flooded us out. We had to move further south down the river delta to find another place. And we spent the morning, and it wound up like 1 or 2 in the afternoon by the time we had moved campsites and it stopped raining. And we finally got in a kayak at 1:30. We get out in the middle of the Blakely River in Mobile as it's dumping out into the northern part of Mobile Bay. And my brother, we thought we saw like people put out jug lines. You know what I mean? They just attach a fishing line.
If there's a fish on it, it kind of drags on the surface and it looks all crazy. My brother thought that's what it was. And then we were like, wait, that's a dog or something. Wait, no, that's a cat. And we finally it had just sunk under right as my brother got to him. It was like he was giving up. Threw him in the kayak and he's bleeding from the nose and got big cuts all over him. We right by this bridge where Old 90 goes over there. So there's a bunch of birds under the bridge. Maybe he was trying to catch a bird and he fell off and he couldn't get back up. Maybe he was swept into the river with float. We have no idea how he got there. Mm-hmm. Immediately, I thought someone had thrown him off. Immediately you go negative, like, motherfuckers, I can't believe people, right? Yeah. And I honestly thought the cat was dying, but I thought he was suffering. And I was like, well, let's go bring him to the vet. And at least as much as it sucks, because my brother had to do this a few weeks ago. They found a cat on a long run that had been hit by a car, and they brought it to a vet, and they had to euthanize it, right? Yep. So we thought that's what we were about to do. We bring the cat to the vet, and they call us back and say, we think he's going to be okay. He's pretty tough. He's not distended at all. I thought his guts were busted open. He's like, he's just a fat boy. He's in good shape. This is somebody's cat, And that was just really crazy to me. And so we said, well, they're like, well, what are you going to do with this cat? Someone has to be financially responsible for him if you want us to treat the cat. We think he will do good with treatment. But if you don't treat him, well, but somebody's got to pay for it.
Yeah.
So me and my brother talked about it and was like, the hell with it. You know what? We didn't even talk about it. Actually, my brother immediately was like, I'll pay for it. I'll be responsible. And then I said, I'll split it with you. And the lady that was camping with us when we got back to the campground, she's like, let's split it in thirds, please. And so immediately, you know, it's like you have this decision to spend $1,200 on a cat that you just found in a river. And now you got to rearrange your life. You don't have to, but it's like, okay, well, he's going to survive. Well, shit, we need to go get a kennel, and we need to get food, and we need to get cat litter, and we need to get him fixed. And we find out that he's this special breed called a bobtail that I never heard of. That's a really cool breed of cat that really behaves more like a they call him the golden retriever of cats or whatever.
Oh, wow.
So it's just this really crazy thing. He came home. He's back in Louisiana with us. He's living with my brother. My brother's got like a 13-year-old boxer, and him and the cat just post up together and chill. And like, he's like, "Oof, I made it. That was a rough day, but these guys got me. Appreciate you. Thanks for that one." And he's like, he's got to be on his 11th, 12th life, bro. Like, he got some bonus lives from somewhere. Thanks.
Yeah, no, I mean, when you sent me that picture, dude, I mean, he looked fucking chewed up. He looked like he'd taken a header into the asphalt.
He was so fat that
up.
I thought it was a pregnant female that someone had thrown off the bridge. That's what I thought we had on our hands, but that wasn't what it was at all. And the med vet in Mobile said they think that it was just the river flooding. The cat probably stepped somewhere where it's usually water they can stand in, and they got swept away, and or they got swept into some surface drainage and got all cut up and got spit out into the river. There's multiple ways that it could have happened, but you know, he's family now, and we named it. And they looked at us like, well, what's his name going to be if y'all going to adopt him? And I immediately was like, Hobie, and because of the kayaks, right? And so we named him Hobie, and you know, that's the warm and fuzzy of it. I mean, he rode home with us, and it was really cool. It was like the universe, you know, forced us to that specific spot, because that even where we were planning to be, right? And for this baby, for this little dude, he was going to need us. We didn't know that. We didn't know he was going to need us, but whatever force in the universe knew to intersect our paths at that moment in time. And that heavy, huge fact isn't lost on me. That I almost feel that my brother was chosen to prove to him how worthy he is, you know? And because he immediately did the right thing and didn't care what it cost, you know? And I'm just super proud of him. I thought we had a dead cat on our hands, and I was kind of freaking out, being dramatic, if I'm being honest. And Dustin was like, I don't give a shit if I got to sell my truck. I don't even know this cat, but this cat is going to be taken care of. And I just kind of fell in line with his lead, if I'm being real, you know?
Let me offer you a rebuttal on that. Because I was thinking about this with what you said about all the shit that was going on in the beginning of 2020, of like your back melting down and Leadville and losing Dave. And it felt like the universe was pointing you in a specific direction, or that it was a sort of like this crisis with three prongs that was happening at the same time, you know. And you talk about the universe leading you to this cat. Human beings are the ones. Oh shit, Josh, I think I just lost you. There he is. what I was saying is, human beings are the ones who draw patterns. Human beings are we see two dots with a little line underneath it, and we're like, that's a face. In 2020, it wasn't the universe that supplied the pattern there. It was you. You were seeing your back melting down, the Leadville situation, losing Dave, and your intellect, your heart, your experience, your judgment led you to make a decision to move into something else, to find a different way, to redefine your relationship with running, to look into other things. The universe didn't lead you to this cat. You made this decision as a sentient being to adventure out into the world. In this kayak, your new, what is it, the Ex Machina, the vehicle supplied by God, to bring you this transportation, to connect with other people, to find new sort of mental health in the wilderness. And when you got to this cat, it wasn't the universe that pushed you to make the decision to help him. It was you and your fucking brother. You guys did it. Don't give credit away to anyone else. You are the universe. It happened because you're a great fucking dude, and you have too much love in you. And I don't know your brother, but I imagine he probably has a little bit of that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it was just at a really good. It was at just a really good time. It was just It was turning out. It was a rough trip. It wasn't the trip we had planned. It was so many bad things, and then Kobe came along. And it's just wow.
Yeah.
Completely different outlook on everything. Even though it quadrupled our cost of the trip. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But who cares? Like, it was the right thing,
I mean, you
don't ever want to be a person that would rather trade money for, the right thing or love.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know that I have a crazy relationship with my cat. I adore her. She's been such a gift in my life. And we have a new tenant who lives in the house in the back, and she loves the dog, but she really loves the cat. And she just like bathes them in treats every day. And yesterday I came in from my run, and I sat down and I watched my cat go over to the other house and start crying outside the door for Nicole to come out and feed her. And I was like, you fucking bitch. You fucking heartbreaker. All that I've done for you, and this is how, but that's the great thing about animals, is that it's not a zero-sum game. Animals can love every single person unconditionally, and they still, seem to have more. I went over to eat at my mom's house down the street with my dog. She couldn't fucking wait to get there, and couldn't wait to hang out with my mom, couldn't wait to hang out with my sister. And then when it was time to go, she couldn't wait to get home. She was, what's the next thing? I'm really into it.
You've ever seen the meme with the dog and the person walking together, and in the thought bubble, the person's got all kind of bullshit going on, but in the dog's thought bubble, it's just a facsimile of the horizon they're looking at together,
We got to get there, man. Yeah. We gotta get to the dog brain parts, or we got to get to hammock weight.
The nature part. I think that's the animal side of us. I think we're talking about getting into something in a direction that Howard has steered me over the years, is getting into your body. So many of us stay in our head, just like that meme I talked about. The difference between us is that dog is fully in his body, fully appreciating the present moment, and the human is all in his head. The whole body component of his being is on automatic, and he's living his whole life in his head of worry. And And whatever you can do to force yourself to drop into your body and deal with it.
Yeah.
Whether it's, running or kayaking or DMT or ayahuasca or whatever you have to do to force yourself out of your rut, your neurological rut, into your body.
Yeah. We got to get to hammock weight and dog brain. Those are the new goals. That's the new thing to be really into.
Hammock weight, dog brain. Sounds like a book.
Josh, where can people find you? What's the new thing you're working on? I'm buying a fucking kayak and I'm going to come out there and we're going to do this thing. Since I was a little kid and I read Huck Finn, I was like, oh my God, they have a raft on the river. That sounds amazing. We used to do big canoe trips up in Ontario and, the like portage where you carry the canoe with all your gear and shit. I'm fucking coming out there. We're going to
just come visit. You ain't got to bring shit.
We got to do this. And you got to do a YouTube kayak channel. That sounds amazing.
I want to do something like this. I want to be like, show how the plastic gets out into the ocean.
Yeah.
It's not malice. It's not us going, fuck the ocean, here's a bottle. To show how easily it gets from right here in Chack Bay out into the ocean. I want to follow these waterways out into where we ultimately train and make a series of YouTube videos. I've been loving making videos on my kayak. It's so much easier to do in a kayak versus running, because running is so much jumping and stuff, and you got to set up your camera head, run by your camera. It's so much more fluid with the pedal kayaks, where my hands are free and I can go, ooh, look, a woodpecker, ooh, look, a great blue heron, and roseate spoonbill, and people enjoy it. And I don't care if it ever does anything like monetize-wise. If people enjoy it, I'm able to share the beauty of my state that doesn't require dollars to appreciate. You don't have to go rent, an airboat, sit on an airboat to go see alligators and chicken on a stick.
Yeah.
There's more authentic ways and cheap ways to appreciate what we have right in front of us, and that's just my new vibe. And I love it. Ida really, really pressed to me how precarious of a homeland I'm from. And there's not a whole lot that I'm going to actually do about that outcome. I think it's inevitable up to a certain area in the state. But what I can do about the present moment is be more like that dog. Rather than worry about the intruding Gulf and impending hurricanes, I can just go, oh, look at that egret. How pretty.
Yeah.
And that feels better to me.
Takes so much work to shut your damn brain off and just see the thing, feel the thing, experience the thing, but totally worth it.
Yep.
It
takes a good tired body. That'll help. Yeah.
Being exhausted definitely helps. I got to run to PT to keep these old childbearing hips of mine. I've been getting dry needled to keep running, which it's funny. It fits in perfectly with my personality. My physical therapist is this like beautiful woman who like leans over me and talks to me and then just puts me through incredible pain. And I was like, oh, this is like all of my experience, I
don't want to be a certain kind of way or anything, but I've found that whether it's whatever type of physical therapy, I found female practitioners to be really, really the best. Like, they're really, really good. I feel more nurtured and understood and cared for. It's just and I've been through a million chiropractors and physical therapists, massage therapists or whatever.
Women are actually some of the best sharpshooters too, because when they learn to shoot, they don't go in like a fucking gangster or a cowboy, like blah blah blah. they just.
We would call that a bjork down here. That's a bjork. A bjork would do something stupid like that.
The
bjork is go press in the clutch and go right.
Yeah.
That's a bjork.
Yeah. They just listen to the directions and follow directions and just what's the correct way to do it and just do it without any, without fucking cowboy boots.
Right.
Josh, where can people find you?
Man, just the usual, bro. Just come find me on Instagram, and I have my YouTube channel, which is just my name, Josh LaJaunie, and that's about it. I'm not really doing races. There's multiple. There's just a whole sort of constellation of reasons why. But I'm not really interested in doing a whole bunch of races unless they really speak to me. And I'm doing mostly just running on my own with one or two friends and spending as much time in the bayous and swamps of my hometown and surrounding areas as much as I can. I'm riding and scouting and looking for new places to launch the kayak and looking on Google Earth. It's like a whole new world has opened up for me. I'm like, oh shit, okay, yeah, I don't mind going to sit in my kayak for 5 hours, and because it's gonna take that long. Like most people would be freaked out by that, but when you run 20-something hours straight, like that seems like small potatoes. So that's what I'm doing. I'm making nature videos as much as I can and trying to show people the prettiest parts of my Louisiana and try and share history here and there as much as I can about things that I learn about, immersing myself in this place that I'm from.
Yeah. Less performing and more living. I'm on the same tip, man. Yeah. Josh, I love you so much, brother. Thank you so much for doing this, man.
Yeah, man. Let's catch back up soon.
Right on. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, Holmes.
Mishka Shabali is catching up with friends who are arguably more talented than him.
Well, hi. Hello there. My name is Cheeto. I am an adorable little three-legged puppy, and as you all know, adorable little three-legged orphan puppies all care about quality podcasts. And I want you all to know that I subscribe to the Patreon for the Mishka Shabali podcast, and you should too. It's the only thing I like more than kibble. Nom nom. So please head on over to patreon.com/Mishka Shabali. Sign up. There's all kinds of good crap there. There's writing advice and tips. There's unpublished stories. There's a bunch of demos, a bunch of sort of loose dispatches from my life. I mean, his life. And I don't know, just really good stuff that adorable three-legged orphan puppies named Cheeto really love. And you will too. So patreon.com/Mishka Shabali. All the proceeds will go to puppy food for orphans or other things. Okay, thank you.